Don't get excited. I'm just up here for a minute.
Sounds good, yeah. Most people, yeah. Okay, great, thank you. Good morning.
Katie, do you think we're ready to get started? All right.
Good.
Welcome to the annual meeting of Trinity Episcopal Church, to both our in-person and online folks. For the church to effectively make a change in the hearts and minds of the people we encounter, we need the support of an effective structure. Your presence here helps make us better proclaimers of the gospel in the world. This meeting is now called to order. Let's consider that eating implementing us in. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, ruler of all things in heaven and earth, hear our prayers for this parish family. Strengthen the faithful, arouse the careless, and restore the penitent. Grant us all things necessary for our common life, and bring us all to be of one heart and mind within your holy church, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Meeting shall commence.
Very good. Welcome, everyone. We are going to start this morning with a thank you to a number of individuals who have served in various roles, delegates to convention, vestry members, and also members of the endowment committee. Thank you all for serving. Thank you for all that you do to make Trinity a welcoming and a wonderful place. A lot of dedication and time goes into these roles, so we sincerely appreciate your commitment. Thank you very much. So for convention delegate this year, Garth Burns, would you please stand when I say your name? On vestry, we have Lawrence Ajeku, Donna Griffin, and Debbie Pitts. Pardon me. And then for the endowment committee, we have Chuck Olchesi, our chair. I'd also like to recognize the search committee and all their wonderful work this year. Debbie Pitts and Sam Billen, co-chairs. Melissa Birchhill, Janine Cox, Dawn Hatton, Emily Casey, Tony Silvestri. Please stand. And members of the parish profile team, John Broholm, Janet Sinelli, and then Father George Wiley, who was our pastoral chaplain and advisor. Thank you all so much for your dedication to Trinity.
Ready?
Very good.
Having now recognized those who have served, it is time to vote for those who will serve. The bios for the nominees are both in the annual report and in your voting packet. It's probably easier to find them in your voting packet, because that's all that's in there, and a QR code to get the full report. So you should have received a ballot as well. Did everybody receive a ballot? Yeah, I have one somewhere, but I've lost it. Okay. All right. And for those of you who are online, you'll be receiving instructions from your online host as you guide them through this process. Please note that you will vote for 4 candidates for vestry, 2 candidates for the convocation delegates, and 1 candidate for the endowment board. Now, just a little fun fact, last year we were allowed to have 2 delegates to convocation and diocesan convention because we were just below the line. And then the next year, we were back above the line. That's the cutoff. So yay, we grew. And so now we have 3. Kimberly Patterson is remaining, correct? Yes, she is our remaining member of the delegation, and then we'll need to vote 2 more to work with her. The nominees for the diocesan delegates, please stand as I call your name, are, oh wait, I skipped vestry, whoops. Okay, let's go back. The nominees for the vestry, please stand, are Jacob Birchhill at the back, Susan Bradley, Andy Pitts, also at the back, and we have a write-in nomination, Brenda Clary. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, we have the number of vestry members we need. So I am going to declare them elected by acclamation. The nominees for the diocesan delegates, and please remember you'll vote for 2 of these, please stand as I call your name, are Garth Burns, Donna Griffin, Nancy Kelly, and Debbie Pitts. What? And Becky Buchanan? No, she pulled her name off the list. Yeah, she withdrew. Are there any nominations from the floor? All right, you may be seated while we do this. Remember to vote for 2. The nominees for the nominee for the endowment board is Sue Shackelford. Sue, will you stand up? Are there any nominations from the floor? All right, since we need one person, and there is one person, I declare that she has been elected by acclamation. I like the ring better. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes for voting to be, well, you're not going to pick them up. Don't pick them up after they vote. We have two other. There's 2 resolutions we'll vote on later. Yeah. So hold on to your ballot after your vote for these. You may fold it in half if you would like no one to see your vote. And remember, you only need to vote for the diocesan convention delegates.
Let's not collect the ballots yet.
Do not collect the ballots.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
just hold on to those because we have 2 other things to vote
Yeah,
for.
so do not turn them in. We just need a few minutes.
Thank you. Very good. Okay.
All right. Are we good?
Very good. Well, with that, we'll move into the meeting and the report section, and then we'll circle back on those other 2 questions before the end of the meeting and collect everybody's ballots. So I'll start us off with a quick review of the year. We've had a remarkable year here at Trinity. We've have a lot to give thanks for. The past 2 years have really been focused on a handful of important priorities that are going to help to guide us forward and also to help us embrace a season of transition and growth in our parish. Early this year, led by the wonderful leadership of Debbie and Sam, we were able to facilitate a successful transition process and search for a new rector. The search committee worked hard to develop a wonderful parish profile, capturing the spirit and character of our parish, and conducted a well-organized and communicative search process that ultimately resulted in the fantastic result and opportunity to welcome Mother Jen as our new rector. So thank you, Debbie, Sam, and all of the search committee for your dedication to that process. It was excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can everyone hear me okay? Is this good? Okay. I feel like I need to be closer, but I think this is okay. Great. Thank you to Mother Jen for choosing to make Trinity your home. The impact of your presence here is felt every day. And to borrow words from Brenda, actually, we were exchanging emails yesterday. We were wanting to, she was expressing her gratitude just yesterday for Mother Jen's caring pastoral leadership and presence. Thank you for the warm welcome you personally extend to all, and especially to those new to Trinity, and for providing a kind of inspiring liturgy that is kind, that is wise, and those words keep people present here and coming back. So thank you. Thank you for your engagement in our lives and the lives of the parishioners. Thank you for being available to us and caring for us, listening to us, guiding us. Thank you for your energy and supporting our new and other long-lived ministries here at Trinity. Your vision to make this place vibrant and your willingness to roll up your sleeves and be part of that work and co-creating that work with us is just really inspiring, and we appreciate it so much. So please help me in appreciating Mother Jen. Wanted to touch briefly on the capital campaign, although we'll have a full report later from Donna and Terry. But it has been tremendously successful thus far. Our goal was to raise $540,000 to really dedicate to projects that were essential to care for this building, to address some long deferred maintenance, and to restore, the systems and all the things that make this place a functioning, working building that is comfortable and that is a nice place to be together here. And we really focused on being good stewards, and so kind of prioritizing the most important projects first. And so Donna and Terry will walk us through those. But through your generosity, over $1 million was raised and pledged to this important work. And of that, we've received 70% of those funds. Those have been, received and are, in the account and available for the work. So that's really exciting. Please. So thanks for supporting this vision to be good stewards of this place and to invest in these projects. This work is going to put us in a good place as a community to move forward into the future, knowing that our buildings and grounds are in good shape. And investing in our future here is a sign of hope and faith in our future together. So thank you for supporting that vision. I want to just appreciate this Capital Campaign Steering Committee members really briefly. Donna Griffin and Terry Mandel, who are co-chairs. And then we have Rosa Billen, Dave Allen, Todd Sutton, and Jake Castillo, who have all participated as the core group of the steering committee. And then we've had wonderful support from advisory members as well, including Vashti Winterberg, David Severance, Betsy Anderson, April Dwyer, and Mother Jen. So thank you all for engaging and helping us to implement the work. I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting for good. Okay. Cool. Very good. Okay, so just wanted to give a little context about one of the resolutions that we'll be voting on at the end of the meeting today. Because the campaign was so successful, we did exceed our goal significantly, and we're able to go beyond those core projects, the high priority projects, and incorporate some additional projects that were shared in the vision for the campaign, and those include solar PV on the Matthews Center roof, so exploring that, an expanded columbarium, and we also have the opportunity to consider directing a portion of the funds that we receive in excess of the goal, so funds that we actually receive, and making a tithe of 10% of those to direct those back to outreach through the ministries that we have here at Trinity, but really to serve the poor and the vulnerable. And so we'll be walking through that proposal in more detail later in the meeting, but we're just in a very fortunate position to be able to consider that. So to give a little context, because we exceeded our goal by about $560,000, 10% of that would be $56,000, and that would be invested or granted over 3 years, so about $18,600 per year, and that is if all of the pledged funds are received. And again, the vision for this is that we can use it to support the vulnerable and poor in our community where there's great need. So please give this some prayerful consideration and be ready to vote at the conclusion of today's meeting. And we really wanted to just get everybody's input on this. It was something that was mentioned earlier on in the campaign, but not something that we promoted actively as we were fundraising, primarily because we just did not expect to be as successful as we did in exceeding that goal. And so we thought that it was best to bring this to the annual meeting and hear everybody's voice and input on this question before proceeding. Okay. Wanted to highlight a few things that have been wonderfully successful this last year to just make Trinity a welcoming place. The Sunday school program, continues to grow. We started with like 4 to 5 kids in 2022 coming out of COVID, and now enjoy, as you see every Sunday, 10 to 15 children on average. Some Sundays more, some Sundays less, but I think we have over 25 children who have a connection to Trinity through youth ministry and the Sunday school program here. So I want to thank Becky and Ann and Dave Payton for leading the Sunday school and just being, excellent people, always there, and for all the kids who are involved and all the parents supporting them. Thank you. We have 2 new nursery attendants who are able to, keep the nursery open, provide that consistent care, and a really awesome group of volunteer parents who are willing to step in when needed. So that has been wonderful. With Mother Jen's leadership, we're exploring opportunities to hire a part-time youth minister in collaboration with Canterbury House, St. Margaret's, and St. Martin in the Field to provide more opportunities for our older kids to grow in their relationships with one another and also their faith and get to know the Canterbury House community at KU. So that's very exciting for this upcoming year. Final Fridays were a big hit this past year. Thank you to Debbie for organizing those, taking the lead for the vestry. Thanks for everyone who showed up and attended. They were a lot of fun. Those are great opportunities just for us to open our doors to the community, invite people here, and make new connections with people to grow kind of our fellowship here. So thank you so much to all who are a part of that this past year. And we're always looking for new ideas, people to support the program going forward, which will start up again, hopefully, if the vestry chooses to support it this spring. The Trinity Interfaith Food Pantry and Back Snack program have continued to be extremely impactful here. They do really such essential work. Just wanted to appreciate Barry and Sue, who are retiring from leadership of this group this year. Please join me in thanking them. They've been so dedicated to the pantry for so many years. It's such a fun way to get involved and volunteer, both the Back Snack program and the food pantry. So if you're considering at all something and you want to have a real connection to people, to serve people, I just greatly can't recommend it enough. Please reach out to them. And our, Patricia Henschel, Greg Hazen, and Todd Sutton would be great people to connect with going forward. Barry did a wonderful report in the packet, lots of great information, statistics, photographs, and the Facebook page is very active. So strongly encourage you to check out the great work that they do for our community. And then I wanted to thank Mark Crestinger-Harries, I don't know if he's here today, maybe not, and the choir for an incredible year of music. The Choral Scholars Program was very successful. With that, we're able to welcome some students into our congregation. They elevate the beautiful music. Every Sunday, it's just tremendous, and music has always been at the heart of our worship experience here at Trinity and spirit of place here, and something that we all truly value. So thank you all for making the music so beautiful and gracing us with that beauty every Sunday and beyond. April will give a report here. She's off to a very, very busy start in her first year as junior warden, but if you've noticed things becoming more organized and tidy and clean, and maybe something that wasn't working well, it's been fixed. This is all due to April's dedication and work, so thank you so much, April. And then just briefly wanted to thank all the vestry members, like I said before. Thank you all. So many of you are just involved in so many ministries. Lots of things happen quietly in this parish. I know that it takes a lot of dedication, patience, time, communication, a love of this place that continues year after year through the ups and downs and the challenges. I am inspired when, we have something hard that we have to work through and people come together with kindness and show each other love and patience in working through that. So thank you all. I just really appreciate it. It's been an honor to serve as a vestry member and a senior warden these past 2 years. Thank you. Next up, I think we're going to speak, Mother Jen and I, a little bit on welcoming visitors and new members.
Yeah. So we've had new members come in amongst us in the last year, and my experience has been that you're doing well at welcoming them and making sure that they get their information into the office and starting to integrate them in the work of the church. I've tried to follow up with everybody who has come with a letter or an email, depending on what address they give us, and then making sure that when I see them that they are starting to think about ways that they can expand their sense of community here at Trinity without scaring them away. That's always the trick, that delicate balance of not seeming too needy, and trying to make sure that you are getting people involved. And I love the diversity of offerings that we have. 57 ministries at last count, maybe more, which gives people a number of ways to get engaged with the parish, in quiet ways, in front and center and altar serving ways, in beautiful noise ways up in the choir loft, making a beautiful noise to the Lord. And it's inspiring to me. I can speak to it myself. When David and I came here, we were welcomed from day one with loving arms that wrapped around us and dragged us into the community. Dave is involved in several ministries, which I think is fabulous. And I know that he has told me how important this community is to him, and I feel the same way. So a big round of applause for all of you. Do you have anything to add?
No, I would just thank you to the greeters who welcome people and are trained and, are brave to reach out if startups strike up a conversation. We can all do that, and I know that you all do. So thanks, everybody, for your support and just being friendly and saying hi to people and welcoming them.
Yeah, and the ushers do a great job of giving the greeters the information they need of who is new, and we welcome people at the front very well. We let them know that we care, and immediately we give them a sense of this could be their church home. So that's important. So another round of applause for all of you. And I believe that brings us up to evangelism and community. And one of the ways that we are in community is one that we probably don't hear enough about, and that is our Minster, the Free State Minster, which is a collaboration of St. Margaret's, St. Martin's in the Field, Trinity, Canterbury House, and Bishop Seabury Academy. We meet on a quarterly basis with a kind of a theme for each meeting. This meeting, we're going to be working on how, multiple ways, how we can worship together. What are some of those opportunities to have, 3 churches and a Canterbury House and an academy all together? And it's exciting work, and it is clear that people are passionate about that work, and that's part of our greater community. And one of the ways that we can extend the gospel to others is to engage in that community. So be looking for more information about the Minster and what we come up with the shared worship. It could be really exciting. I think it will be. And, going out and meeting, one of the things that I think we can do even better is that when we're out and about and someone says something that kind of makes you think, I wonder if they have a church home, ask. We are so trained in our heads not to ask people if they have a church home and not to offer up Trinity that we have so many missed opportunities. I am not as good at that as my husband is. But, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we offset each other. But I invite you to think about that. And then to think of other ways that Trinity can be visible in the community around us. I'd really like to have a parade committee, Because I would really like to have us out there with our banner and some cool T-shirts, of course, designed by a cool artist that's somewhere in our congregation just dying to design a T-shirt, and marching and walking on the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the LGBTQ Pride Parade. That's probably the most important one. That's the one I want us to focus on this year. We need to be there. We need to show our support of the community in the many ways that it expresses itself. So I'd like, to be working on something to that effect. But evangelism is mostly overcoming our reticence, our frozen, chosen Episcopal nature. And it's getting past that. That's what evangelism is. So, anything else? I think that's it. I think we're ready for the Capital Campaign Implementation Steering Committee to come forward.
Good afternoon. Terry and I will be sharing some highlights on the Capital Campaign. And those of you that have more interest, there's a full report in the annual booklet. In early 2025, Trinity Episcopal Church began a capital campaign to support needed renovations and improvements to our parish home. The completion of these critical projects will allow our congregation to focus on a future where we continue to care for the preservation of our buildings and grounds, improve the quality of our worship experiences. They can lower future maintenance and utility costs by replacing existing equipment and materials while being mindful of the environmental impact our choices have. We can also improve the overall accessibility on our property and work to be more increasingly ADA compliant, expand the capacity of our core ministries for people of all ages and abilities, enhance our family ministries, improve our outreach ministries. I know that Katie sort of called out all of the steering committee members. Terry and I just really want to thank all of them for their involvement and their expertise and willingness to step up and do what needs to be done. It's been really critical in us being able to move forward with our projects. Through the generosity of many Trinitarians, the Capital Campaign received $1,040,000 in pledges, and we'll be getting that over the next 3 years. We've been really lucky. The actual amount as of this last Monday that we have received of those pledges is $727,000. This allows us to move forward with all of the Phase 1 projects and potentially cover the second phase of the HVAC work. Based on feedback from parishioners and current and past junior wardens, a list of projects was developed in order of importance and urgency and grouped into 3 phases. Phase 1, as I mentioned, is at this point has been covered by the pledges that we have received, and those are the HVAC replacement. Phase 1 is for the sanctuary, Phase 2 is for the parish hall, and it looks as though we're going to have enough of the pledges that we've received that we can do both of those. It'll be also the bell tower repair. There's some need there. The colonnade and parish hall re-roof. So that's the flat areas. There's an area above the choir room, and then obviously along the colonnade, that's a flat roof that is way past its expiration. The next is stained glass repair and the masonry work. Prior to any work being authorized or costs incurred, invoices, bids, and scopes of work were reviewed by the steering committee, and recommendations were sent to the vestry for their discussion and approval. We started off the whole process by hiring Latimer Summers and Associates to do an assessment of the current HVAC system serving both the sanctuary and the parish hall. And through this assessment, we realized that with few modifications, the system that we have in place was the most appropriate for our needs moving forward. We anticipate having this work out to bid by the end of February in hopes that we will have that work completed by the end of May. Hurley and Associates is in the process of creating some documents for the bell tower and the re-roof work, and we're hopeful that will be out to bid as well by the end of February, early March. Right now, what we have accomplished is the masonry has been fully cleaned, and we're in the process of actually doing fixes to some of the masonry, the front steps, the concrete masonry block wall that's there along the alley. And so we're hopeful that, weather permitting, that will get done over the next couple of months. We did work at the Matthews Center. We replaced the stucco. We did that because we were having water infiltration issues, and the steering committee determined that it was to our advantage to go ahead and fix that versus allow more damage to the ceiling and the walls on the interior of the Matthews Center. That was a scheduled Phase 2 project, but it has been completed. There will be more work that the Matthews Center will receive in the Phase 2 project, assuming that between the tax credits and pledges that we get that money in and are able to partake in that. Right now, the steering committee has sent out requests for proposals to get revised proposals for solar to go on the Matthews Center to help offset some of our annual electric costs for that particular building. This has been moved up in the schedule because the federal tax credits that we're able to receive will be expiring in July of 2026. And we were hoping to kind of get in before that expires. Updates to the church sound system were made in early 2025 to enhance our in-person and online worship experiences. You may have noticed the live stream table in the back of the church. This was constructed and donated by Andy Pitts with, I'm sure, the support of his lovely wife, Debbie.
Thanks, Donna. So to prepare for anticipated future pledges and the tax credits that we will receive, we're currently working on revised estimates for the following Phase 2 projects. The first one is the refurbishment of the exterior sanctuary doors and a full replacement of the hardware to ensure that they are secure and energy efficient. The second is we have a committee working on a new columbarium for our property. This will include determining the location of the columbarium and the anticipated cost. As Donna mentioned, we will be finishing the work on the Matthews Center, which will include replacing some of the building's fascia, soffits, gutters, and downspouts. We'll paint all the exterior wood, caulking the windows, and we'll be fixing the drip issue next to the vestibule into the building. We're also working with Hurley Associates to locate companies that will do plaster work so that we can get an estimate to repair walls here in the sanctuary, the sacristy, and the flower room. This will also include a fresh coat of paint and some work on the wainscoting here in the sanctuary. Once we have a general contractor on board with the bell tower repair work, we'll also get a price from them to repair and replace stairs going down into the undercroft and install railings. If any of you've ever been underneath the church, those stairs are very risky. So we want to improve on those. We'll also be getting costs to do a mill and overlay for our parking lot. If funds are available, we would like to see this work completed before the end of September this year. It will make our property more ADA accessible for those who are using wheelchairs, walkers, or just find it difficult to walk on uneven surfaces. It will create a safer path into our buildings. We've also started scheduling meetings with companies that can give us a price to install a hearing loop in the sanctuary and replace or cover the existing VCT tile that we have underneath our pews. Any questions for Donna or myself? All right. Thank you again for your support. We really appreciate it.
Now I'd like to invite April Dwyer up to give her junior warden's report, but also her historic designation report. So April, come on up.
Whoa. Okay, as I know that many people think that being a junior warden is a thankless job, but that's not so. I want to thank Mark Kretzer Harris for creating the bat sonar melodies to eliminate bats in our belfry. So he put. I want to thank Vashti for alerting me to a half-dead cockroach, feet in the air, screaming for mercy. I want to thank Gonzalo for trimming trees, taking out dead trees, and leaving us a glorious pile of mulch. I want to thank the homeless for leaving piles of another sort. Thank you to my brother Jay for spraying bagworms that were so bad they were even growing on the parking meters. We didn't spray the meters. Thank you to Garth Burns, who allowed me to purge dozens of burned out light bulbs. And also thank you to Garth and David Severance for changing out light bulbs in the nave. Thank you to those who helped get rid of 50-plus cans of empty and partially used paint, the colors of which were not on a color wheel. I know there are those who say that paint doesn't deteriorate. When it rattles in the can, I think its life expectancy is over. Thank you to my handyman, Tom, who cleaned the gutters on the north side of the church and put on gutter covers. The gutters were so full there were small trees growing in them. Thank you to the Boy Scouts who took years of broken furniture, broken tables, broken filing cabinets, broken chairs, trash, and poorly built cabinets out of the basement of the Matthews Center. They also helped mulch the trees. Thank you to Barry Molyneux, who took at least 20 empty plastic crates out of the Matthews Center basement. Thank you to David Allen, who put new cabinets in the Matthews Center for the food pantry. Thank you to the people who put new stucco on the Matthews Center. Thank you to Proctor and Cheryl for helping me with a new project of eliminating bankers' boxes of old bills. Thank you to Lorena for a spectacularly clean church. Thank you to Mother Jen for trusting me. And a huge thank you to my husband, Mike, assistant to the junior warden, who cleaned years of muck out of the outside fountain, completely rebuilt it, and put in a new pump. He rerouted, cleaned, and added gutters. He built 3 new shelving units in the Matthews Center basement. He's mulched, weeded, cleaned, and painted with new paint. He put in a new mail slot in the Matthews Center. We have had more items cycle through our garage to be sorted into different categories for Goodwill runs, dumpster runs, electronics runs, hazardous material runs, plus shredding and recycling. Mike never complains. There is a lot of cussing, but he never complains. If I have forgotten to thank someone, you know who you are. Okay, that's my junior warden. Now, I'm going to talk about the historic designation, but I have some show and tell. Oops. The history of our historic designation process is in the annual meeting booklet, but I've just summarized a 2-year process very briefly. On October 30th, 2023, a draft nomination was submitted to the State Historic Preservation Office for us to be placed on the State Historic Building Register. After several months, we were considered eligible. The draft was prepared by a committee consisting of, and thank you a lot to Linda McCoy, Proctor Crow, April Dwyer, Austin Turney, and Katie Nichols. March 5th, 2024, a letter of agreement was signed with the architectural historian Dale Nimps to prepare Trinity's formal nomination application. On November 4th, 2024, we were notified our nomination was approved. In January of 2025, Bishop Bascom gave us her blessing, and we also obtained approval from the Council of Trustees. The final nomination form was completed and submitted on January 22, 2025, and we were put on the docket for approval for October 4th, 2025. Trinity's nomination was approved unanimously on that date. We are now more likely to qualify for grants and, more importantly, for tax credits, which may amount to 40%. The Capital Campaign Steering Committee has been included in this process to identify and prioritize the capital needs of the building. To properly identify Trinity as a state historic building, the vestry approved a plaque for placement on the outside of the church. The plaque was just picked up this week and is ready to be mounted. I'm sure my husband will have something to do with that as well. So, thank you, everybody, for all your help.
It's time for the rector report. And I have another report, a report that's in the annual report, so I'm not going to read that to you. You all can read, I think. I think this year is the year for me using the word pondering. So as your rector, I've pondered on the things that are important and the things that make me a good rector for all of you. The first of those things is pastoral care. And that is probably the toughest job I have and the most rewarding and the most life-giving. What makes it tough is it doesn't matter how many people I go see, I never feel like it's enough, because there is a lot of need in our community. Fortunately, we have a fantastic pastoral care and lay Eucharistic visitor team who see our friends who aren't able to come to church. Right now, that's the numbers in about 14, but it's been higher. And I appreciate the hard work that they do because it helps me be better at the work I do in that area. There is something holy about sitting with someone whose life is ending. There's something holy about watching those last breaths. And there's something holy about giving a message of hope in the resurrection to the family. And it's that holiness of this work that makes it possible. So, another thing that is important in my role is both my sermons and my adult forums. So in the sermons, hopefully transforming your hearts and encouraging you in your walk with Christ, and in the Formation series, getting to know the mega narrative that we have about God and Jesus, and just seeing the redemptive love that is repeated again and again in the Old and New Testament. And I think it's my job to help you see that, but also to help you see where we are weak, where we fall short, which can be uncomfortable. And it can be uncomfortable for me to preach it because I'm preaching to myself as well. But if every sermon makes you feel comfortable with where you are, please send me a note because I should be doing better. So, and then another thing that I think is important from my office to all of you is the work I do collaborating a lot with Mark Kretzinger-Harris is the liturgy, and presenting you with a liturgy that lifts your hearts, connects you with God, and makes it possible to feel the great cloud of witnesses standing with us at the altar. The music department, oh my goodness, it's amazing what Mark has done. He has brought together some great original music, modern classics, unpublished works, and has given those to us like a gift. And even more, he gives it to the choir as a gift, as they work with the music and spend time with it and sink into it. And the other thing is that our liturgies are actually getting us a little bit of public notice at the diocesan level. So we have several liturgies that we have used now and in the past that are now being used in the diocese largely. So it's been an honor that the liturgies I've written have been used by the bishop at diocesan events. So we are becoming a guide to the light for other parishes. If you have a quarter-time pastor, you're not going to get new liturgy. Just the way it is. They don't have time to write it. So it is a gift to them. Another thing that I think is important is providing a stable system for you so that we know who does what and how they do it and why they do it, right? So with the help of Betsy Anderson, who reminds me I have more work to do, because there's always more policies. Both she and I were nurse managers, and we wrote nursing policies and procedures. So it's our language, right? So we nerd out and write a policy or two. But again, the fact that we have policies in place is sort of like that miracle of churches because we're supposed to, but most don't. So again, Patrick Funston, Canon to the Ordinary, has asked us to share our policies and procedures with him so he can share them with the rest of the diocese. So we are becoming a little bit of a flagship. People are taking notice of the work that we're doing, and it's good work. Finally, most importantly, is the care of our neighborhood and our neighbors. And look at you guys. You do good work. Trinity Interfaith Food Pantry feeds so many people, and they depend on that food. Link is feeding 100 or so people every, that it's a daily thing, but we help out every other month because it's an interdenominational food kitchen. Interdenominational. We get lots of help. They get lots of help from lots of places. But our work there is really important because that's our day. And then we also, in addition to all that, we have something that my brain just lost. Where am I? Food pantry, Link. Oh, how could I miss this? Debbie Burns. Most of you know Debbie Burns as her work at the altar. You see her up here being a liturgical deacon, right? And that's definitely an important part of being a deacon. But the other thing that she does, she talks to people who are hurting. And she tries hard to balance compassion with fiscal responsibility so she doesn't spend everything we have in a day. I've done her job when she's been out of town. It's hard work because you're not just talking to people and say, okay, I'll write you a check, which is kind of fun. The check writing part's great. You're like, hey, yeah, I get to give you money. But you end up walking away from every encounter with some of the weight of those people's lives on your shoulders. And Debbie does that well. She's a true gift to us. But we could also do more. Tony is putting together Queer Trinity, which I think is an important group to support our LGBTQIA plus neighbors and to help them know that they have allies here. We do good work with a pastoral team, but we could see more people if we had more people doing the work. Deacon Steve leads that with great effectiveness. And he sees so many people in the hospital for me, which I really appreciate. And that's how he does the work of being a deacon, is to do that, to be the chaplain at Bishop Seabury Academy, and to serve at the altar. Our third deacon is Rob Schwaller, who still, I have to get Rob Baldwin out of my inbox because I keep sending him texts that I mean, hey, Rob pops up. Anyway, Rob Schwaller is a quiet influence in this community. You know, he's not going to parade anywhere and, you know, say, I'm a deacon. He's going to do his job solidly up here, and he's solid liturgical deacon as well. And then he's a chaplain at Canterbury House, providing quiet guidance and assistance to the kids and the leaders of Canterbury House. He's been doing that for years, and again, that's one thing I can appreciate him doing that I don't need to do. So those are the kind of the pros, right? But the question is, how can each of us individually help go out into the community? And I've had some thoughts about it, because that's something I ponder a lot. Sorry, I'm going to lean over here and have that talk like, you know, hey, I'm going to talk with y'all. I ponder how we live into our baptismal covenant in the world today. And I ponder how we model love in the world today. And I think there are ways. I would love for us to show up at high school plays or games or concerts in Trinity t-shirts. It's all about the t-shirts for me. I spent too much time in youth ministry. But to show up visibly from Trinity, so that the kid who's in the show or playing on the field or playing in the concert or singing can look out and see us out there and say, my people are here. They really care about me. And I imagine what that would show the community about Trinity. And I imagine in about a year there'll be other churches with t-shirts because, you know, it's t-shirts. And I imagine other ways that we can reach out to places that need our help. And think about all, I don't think I've met any of you who are like, yeah, no, I don't really volunteer. You're busy with all sorts of things, right? There are people who record for the audio reader. That's doing God's work. There are people who volunteer at the History Museum, also God's work. There are people who go and volunteer at the hospital and are like the little guides. I don't know what Lawrence Memorial Hospital calls them, but the patient representatives that help you get around this hospital. I know it because I've seen you guys doing these things. And there's so many other things that you do. And really the trick is to do those things in the name of God. To do those things with the thought, I'm a Christian, and this is how I'm helping my community. And to remember that that's part of who you are. And to then bring that back here. You know, you don't have to be afraid to ask for volunteers at the History Museum here because maybe it's taking people away from the volunteer opportunities here. You may have the one great idea that this person can engage in and feel like a part of a community. Because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about being a community of love that has no boundaries, that just welcomes everybody wherever they are in their journey with God and says, hey, I love you and I'm with you, and you matter to me. And that's the work we need to be looking for. That's the important work. And then there's the details, right? The stewardship campaign this year disappointed me a little bit. We got the money we needed to get, but we are getting a smaller and smaller number of people pledging with more money, which means that fewer people are taking on the burden of what it takes to keep the church open. And I think people tell themselves sometimes it's just for I'm just paying the utility bill. Well, if we didn't pay the utility bill, how many of you would come to church here? It pays the utility bill, yes. It also pays for some of our outreach programs. It pays for our children programming, and it pays for our music, and it pays for me, and it pays for Jessica, and it pays for the girls in the nursery. That's how we keep the church going, is having that infrastructure. But we can't plan to add anything to that infrastructure unless we have pledging units that are pledging and willing to commit to giving a certain amount to the church. So we need to think about that. And I think stewardship and financial stability is going to be a major goal for our group. I couldn't stand in front of you and present this budget this year with the deficit budget that it is, except that we did have the carryover because of 2 estate gifts. But I think we can get better on that. I think we can be more vibrant on that. And so, maybe it's that we're not fun enough during stewardship campaigns. So we're gonna start it off this year with what else? What else do you start it with? A bouncy house. So we're gonna start it with the Fall Festival and food. You gotta feed people. So we're going to start it with the Fall Festival this year as a celebration of, this is part of the ministries of Trinity Episcopal Church, is stewardship. Because that's the ministry that feeds the other ministries. So, okay, enough about that. Anyway, I think Dave went to go help the Boy Scouts who are out there doing something. So he is gone. So now I can say bad things about him. Just kidding. But I just want to again reiterate the welcome and the love that we have felt since we came here. Some of you saw it, but very few people saw the tears and the anxiety and the strain of not knowing if you would pick me. And when you picked me, praise God, you guys. Thank you for letting me stay in this community and continue to work with you and walk with you in Christ's love. Amen. Jake, would you like to come forward and give the stewardship report?
Hey everybody, so we kicked off the stewardship campaign with the theme of Tell Out My Soul, and invited Trinitarians to reflect on everything that God has given us and to express that joy, that appreciation through giving, whether that be through services or through giving money. With that, we kicked it off with food, thank you to Vashti with the party. And then we did outreach by phone call. We sent out pledge cards. We also hosted a presentation, multiple presentations out in the parish hall. And then Mother Jen was gracious enough to incorporate the message within her sermons to us. We wrapped up with ingathering of pledges on November 16th, 2025. While the numbers were good, the actual pledge cards received was a tad disappointing, as Mother Jen expressed. We ran about 16 pledge cards short this year as compared to last year. And I don't want to repeat what Mother Jen did say, but that is the lifeblood of this church, making sure that it stays open, making sure that the ministries are staying vibrant as they are. So it's good to hear that next year we're going to be kicking it off in a bigger bang to get the word out. However, because we are so short on pledge cards, we have extended the time frame of when you can actually turn in pledge cards. So if you have not, I just kindly ask you to turn yours in, because you still can, and it's going to reflect within our numbers for this next year. Yes, we have cards in the pews. They also were mailed out, so they just might be lingering around the house. But if you have not pledged, please do so. Yes. If you didn't hear, we will put more in the parish hall. Okay. Okay, no worries, April. So with that, if you don't know how to get one, just ask and we'll route you in the right direction. But that is the report for this year. And thank you to all of those who did submit your pledge cards in. You don't know how valuable it is to have those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Before we do the financial report and the budget, I would like to, there's one person I haven't thanked, and it hasn't been mentioned, and needs to, because they're doing incredible work that is addressing a huge problem right now, and that is Liram, also known as AIR, and Chuck Olchesi. I have been impressed by his quiet stewardship and care in work that is devastatingly difficult right now. And to know that we have been a part of helping these families means a lot to me. So let's give a round of applause to Chuck. All right, I think it's time for Rodney. Let's hear it for Rodney. He's the treasurer. He should get some applause.
All right, those of you who'd like to follow along, I'll be on page 72, 73, and 74. But obviously, very good year for the church. Revenue was up considerably over the previous years, primarily because of two estate gifts, one of 90 and the other one around 75. So that's not expected to happen every year, and therefore the budgeted revenue for 2026 is probably more in line with the historical norms, somewhere be around $410,000. Expenses, on the other hand, are held steady. Obviously, we had a good surplus with those estate gifts, but expenses have been held essentially increasing each year with some inflationary pressures. The cash position of the church is very, very good. You talked about the capital campaign, $720 some odd thousand of collections, of which about $127,000 that's been spent. So currently, the capital campaign has resources available to it for the improvements to the buildings and stuff of around $600,000. The unrestricted funds available for church operations should be probably around $300,000. So obviously, plenty of funds available to support a deficit that's projected for this next year. You never know about estate gifts or other bequests that you might get, so that can offset that. But that for me. You forgot dessert? Okay. Maybe not. If you have any specific questions about a line item or any other aspect of it, you can ask it now, or I'll be here a little bit, because they are going to have dessert, I think. So if you want to ask some questions you don't want to ask in front of everybody else, I'll be more than happy to accommodate you then. We're in good shape.
Katie, I believe you had some remarks as well.
Sure, happy to give those. And they're in the report, so you can feel free to review them. But, as Rodney mentioned, we are projecting a deficit budget this year. Compared to last year, we also projected a deficit budget, but we were able, as Rodney noted, to end the year and at a net positive thanks to some unexpected estate gifts. Also, another trend, as has been mentioned before, while we're each year are pledging units, the quantity of those has declined slightly. The average gift per pledging unit is holding steady and increasing actually to make up some of that loss. So that is helping to stabilize things. And I think every year everyone works really hard to keep our expenses as low as possible. So the budget will reflect an increase because we expect things to be more expensive, but we work really hard to be responsible, stewards of the money that we spend. And so that is appreciated. All those things sort of add up. So we're hoping that as the capital campaign kind of comes to fruition and is implemented, maybe some of that focus could be redirected to our operations and our ministries and growing those things. As Mother Jen noted, going forward, there's a little snapshot of some metrics comparison over the last 3 years, 2025, 2024, and 2023, to just give you a sense of the pledging information, the bequest income, what we've received through plate offerings and non-pledge income, and then how our expenses have looked, and then what the year-end result is. And so we'll continue to kind of keep our eye on those things for comparison. It's just a helpful, point of reference. So, thank you all for the hard work, and I think that's all we really have. We just want to, be as communicative as we can be, and, stay focused on ending the year in a good place.
Thank you, Katie. And now I invite Chuck Oltesi to come up and give us his endowment report.
You can read the endowment report in the in the annual report. It's on page 40. I'll just give you some highlights of that. The endowment board accomplished quite a bit this year. Our main role has been to distribute the amount of funds that is designated for us to distribute toward outreach projects. And that this year totaled $6,094. In my 6 years on the board, it's probably it has been the largest amount we've been able to distribute, because the stock market has been doing fairly well up till recently. And so we took that amount and we divided that between two local ministries that that the church supports: the Link Ministry, which was coming under some pressure to have their rent increased by great amounts, and we wanted to help with that. And so we gave them 1/3 of that money, $2,031, and the rest of it, 2/3 of the money, $4,063, went to the food pantry to help with their increased distribution. in requests for that distribution. We were also surprised when the bank, Central Trust Bank that manages our fund, let us know that there was an amount of money that had been sitting in a money market and not been reinvested that hadn't been spent in the past for several reasons. And so we took that money and gave an extra $10,000 to the food pantry and reinvested the rest of that money that we thought should have been reinvested in the first place back into the endowment fund. That was all at the beginning of the year. The rest of the year was spent with us evaluating where we are as an endowment and where we should need to go. And you can read that a special task force that we put together outlined the history of the fund and a vision that we would like to adopt and a mission statement for how the board should function. That, again, is listed in the report, and you can read that. I won't go through it. But that brought us to the conclusion that we needed to petition to change the bylaws, and that will be presented here shortly and voted on that. I will just say that up to this point, the bylaws have stated that we could distribute 1/2 of, I'm trying to remember the wording on that. Of just the interest and dividends that accrued each year. And so that amounted to very small amounts of money. Like I said, $6,000 this year was the most we've ever done, I think. Is that right, Don? In our time? Okay. And so the fund had grown from $125,000 in its original deposit in 1993 to we're approaching $450,000 in that fund. It came to our attention that there's a large amount of money that's just sitting there, $450,000, and we're throwing away, we're giving away $5,000-6,000 a year. That's just going to continue to build and be untouched. And that it needed to be readdressed as to how that fund could be activated to be of some use while still maintaining a significant amount that's going to continue to grow, like an endowment is supposed to do. So that brought us to submitting an amendment to the bylaws, which we put forth before the vestry in December, and they made some amendments to that and submitted it to the bishop and chancellor as the bylaws request that any changes must be done before it's voted on. And they made a small change, and I'll leave it with that, and we can present that. That's our
So,
report.
yes, thank you, Chuck. On page 75, there is a resolution background, which basically says what Chuck said. We're changing the financial goals. So initially, the goal was to increase the fund as much as possible, as quickly as possible, knowing that $125,000 doesn't go terribly far. But now we're at almost $500,000, and the hope or the plan is that we will, and this is, we're following advice from our financial advisor, other advisors who have experience working with endowments, and we want to avoid what's called a perpetually growing fund, where it does nothing but sit there and grow, because it does nothing, and that's really not what church endowment funds were made to do. The changes that we have asked to be made will instead give us the latitude to give a greater sum. And if you look at the actual bylaws, you'll see there's a couple changes. The first change in the first page of the bylaws on page 76 of your booklet just shows that we're adding today's date as one of the sessions when it was amended. Then you got to skip ahead quite a bit, and you come to the big change. So initially it said, with growth of the endowment fund a primary concern, not more than 50% of annual earnings, including current reinvested earnings, may be distributed each year unless otherwise authorized and directed by the vestry. So we are asking to change this to at or immediately after the end of each calendar year, the endowment board will obtain the year-end value of the Trinity Episcopal Church Endowment Fund from the manager of the endowment fund and will report it to the vestry. The endowment board understands it is the goal of the current vestry and congregation of Trinity Episcopal Church to maintain the value of the trust fund at a minimum of $350,000. So we're not going to give $400,000 away and say $50,000 is enough. We're going to maintain it at $350,000. It is also the goal of the current vestry and congregation of Trinity Episcopal Church to use the endowment fund to support Trinity's outreach ministries as determined by the vestry. In order to provide that support, the endowment board may recommend a withdrawal of up to 5% of the year-end value of the fund. In years when the fund performance is less than 5% flat or negative, the endowment board may recommend a withdrawal in a lesser percentage or no withdrawal at all. The vestry, taking in consideration the recommendation of the endowment board, may approve a withdrawal from the fund consistent with these bylaws. In years where there is a withdrawal, the monies withdrawn shall be distributed between outreach ministries determined by consultation between the Trinity Endowment Board and the vestry. So that's the big change. And then at the bottom, we're striking the word income because it's not distribution of the income, it's just distribution from the fund. And it's the expenditure from the endowment fund, so taking out that net income, and in consultation with. So that's just kind of cleaning up the language of the distribution of the fund. Okay, we're going to do this right. Do I have a motion to accept this resolution? Do I have a second? And that sounds like was Jake. Okay, and Don. All right, is there any discussion? Jake? Yes. So part of the process, according to the bylaws of the Episcopal Church, actually, is that any changes to the bylaws of a parish or any of its institutions must go through the bishop and the chancellor. And they did change it. One of the changes that they made was that instead of saying that we could approve it or lower it, this gives us the latitude to actually, we could potentially increase it. So if they come to us saying, we want to give 3% this year, only because we want to keep more money, and we can say, you know what, no, we're going to give 5% out, okay? And the reason he did that, so here's the reason, is that there was a parish in the diocese who had an endowment board and an endowment fund who actually is now a completely separate institution from the church. They broke with the church. So our chancellor wants us as a vestry to have more input than less, if that makes sense. So that is one way to make sure the vestry has more input. So that was a change that he asked for. Other questions? Okay. Seeing that there are no other questions, please take your ballot and mark on the ballot whether you are for or against the amendment to the endowment. Yes, sir. No, by voting. We're taking a written vote. instead of a voice vote. Oh, do you say, can we? Sure. No, because we have people online. Jacob, is there a way, oh, I see, okay. One of you guys back there, is there a way for them to vote online if we do an oral vote? Okay, so you can vote for them? You know, you can tell us what their vote, the count is? Okay, so yeah, we do not have to do a written vote now. So all those in favor of approving the amendment to the Endowment Board bylaws, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. Were there any no votes? Okay. All right. Then the motion passes. Yay. All right. The next resolution. All right. Pardon me? Yes.
Having been the treasurer years ago of the both foster home and the Trinity, what's now Trinity Income Care. The report from the endowment says that we were formed the endowment was formed in 1993 with two gifts totaling $150,000. Actually, what we did was we had a foster home at that time. It was the first foster home in the state of Kansas that took children with disabilities, mental, physical, emotional. And when the state decided to privatize the foster care program, it became untenable for us to maintain our foster home. And the sale of our foster home was the original corpus for our endowment. We should give our predecessors and the people who are in this room credit for the formation of our endowment.
Okay, so I'm taking your comment as a point of order, and because we've already passed the resolution, and
I intentionally meant to give this aside after the
Chuck, could you pass on to the new endowment board the desire to check the history and make sure that it correctly reflects the donations or the work of the parish? Okay? All right. The next resolution is for disbursement of a tithe of monies received above the goal for the capital campaign. So when we started the capital campaign, our vision statement that was distributed said, for all funds raised beyond our goal, we recommend a 10% tithe to support our vibrant outreach and ministries such as the Trinity Interfaith Food Pantry, Backstack, Lirum, Link, and others. And then that kind of dropped out of the paperwork. So many of our donors didn't see that or read that or remember that. And so the intention has not been in the print materials and has not really received effective notice, as it were. So we've been blessed with a very successful capital campaign exceeding our goal by approximately $560,000. In keeping with the gospel, it seems faithful to tithe from the excess of our goal to provide a degree of care for the poor and marginalized. However, because we have both suggested the intention and become silent on the intention, we are requesting a vote to clarify the future direction. So following the rules of these sort of things, I know, the Roberts, that guy's rules, I'm going to read the resolution. I'll need a motion and a second, and then we'll have a discussion, just like we did last time. So therefore, be it resolved that Trinity Episcopal Church will place 10% of the funds received over the initial goal of $540,000 for the 2025 capital campaign into a restricted fund. And the funds will be administered by the vestry with donations made to outreach programs of the church and community programs addressing the needs of the poor and marginalized in Lawrence and Douglas County. And the disbursement of funds will be decided annually during the November vestry meeting, and the funds will be distributed to the awarded organizations during December of each of the 3 years of the campaign. The vestry will report the distributions to the all-parish meeting each January following the disbursement. All right, I added following the disbursement, just, okay. So, do I have a motion? Kim, second? Pam? All right, is there any discussion? Yes, yes.
Process will the amount that will be segregated be calculated? Because suppose we've got all we're going to have and it's calculated tomorrow based on the pledges.
We're not geez. We're not basing it on the pledges. We're basing it on the amount received. So right now we've received about $710,000. And so the amount over $540,000 could be up for debate.
So if another 100,000 comes in the next 6 months, then
10%. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this will not be 10% of the amount we hope to get. It's 10% of what we actually get above that goal. Linda, I saw your hand.
When we say restricted, what happens if we have an unforeseen capital sort of disaster? Can you put a disclaimer on the restricted that allows for the money that you set aside for these other things to be redirected back to capital needs of the area?
No, because that's not the point of the tithe. The tithe is to give it to outreach, so it remains in a restricted fund for outreach.
Could you repeat?
Oh, I'm sorry. Her question was, let me see if I got this right. If we have the money and we have it in a restricted fund and we have an additional need for the capital campaign, can we take that money out of this restricted fund? And the answer to that would be no, because the decision, if we say yes to this, the $560,000, once we receive all of it, if we receive all of it, or even if we receive a little bit more, that 10% of that will be in a restricted fund for outreach. We are over our goal significantly, so even taking 10%, it's not like we're taking the whole $560,000. We're taking $56,000 out of that. Any other questions? Tony?
Is there going to be a procedure for which ministries can request that money, or?
Yeah, the vestry and I need to work on that. I'm imagining a simple application prior to the November meeting. Yes, Ellen?
Would you clarify the solar business, because you said before something like if approved or if they're looking into solar for the Magic Center? Yes. Is that still included in the capital campaign, or? Yeah. Just clarify.
Yes, it is. Terry and Donna's report. Sure. The question was, what is the status of the solar PV project for the Matthews Center? Is it included or not in the capital campaign projects? And the answer is yes, it is included. We are in the process of obtaining updated bids for the solar PV on the Matthews Center, and the intention is to move forward with that. And we have, I think, the funding in hand to include that as a phase 1 or phase 2 project. Yes.
Yeah, I think that it's important to know that we have enough money to cover phase 1, 2, and 3 projects, which are the projects, all the projects that were identified as being need to be done, unless there's a huge price increase in something. But right now, we're sitting pretty good with that. And I imagine if we got to, say, next year, and we're looking at how much we need, and the capital campaign committee has come to us and said, we need $1,010,000, not $1,007,000 to get this done, or whatever. You can't, and we can't give away any money. Then the vestry can vote on that and bring it, and we'd bring it then to the annual meeting to confirm it. But it would be a change at that point in this resolution, so it'd have to come before you all. So yeah, Nancy, I think there is kind of an emergency contingent. and I mean, Linda. Any other questions?
Okay. Very good. With that, if you would all please vote.
Do we want to do, let's see, we've moved and seconded. Let's try a, yes, ma'am. We're going to call the question. And then we're going to recommend I would like to move that we do it by voice acclamation. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? I kind of missed a second in there, but okay. So, all those in favor of the resolution for the disbursement of a tithe of monies received above the goal for the capital campaign, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. How's the online group going? Okay. Okay. The motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to collect the ballots really quickly and figure out who the... I can't even remember which one. Oh, yes, the diocesan delegate will be these delegates. We'll be back after a short break. Talk amongst yourselves.
For those of you that either have not eaten or would like a little more to eat, if you want to go ahead and take this minute to go out and get something, please feel free.
Would someone near the door go outside and bring the rest of anybody who left? Not outside, but out there. Just poke your head out and see if there's people out there. All right, we'll give them a minute just to make sure that everybody's in place. A reminder during this pause that all vestry members, old and new, need to come forward for our first vestry meeting after this meeting. What, did I hear a what? It's not a long meeting, okay? It's quite all right. I just thought that was actually very funny. It was sort of like Bobby's response to the Messiah. Oh, yeah. You think we're ready? All right. So, for the representatives to Diocesan Convention, our delegates going there, our two new members will be Debbie and Nancy. Kelly. So congratulations. And our alternates will be in this order, Donna and Garth. So there we go. All right. Now it's time for the final spiritual message, if I can find it in all this pile of stuff. Just kidding. I'm sure I know. Where is it? Maybe I have lost it. In which case, I'm going to... Okay, here we go. All right. From Ephesians 4, he himself granted that some are apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ until all of us come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to maturity, to the measure of the full stature of Christ. We must no longer be children tossed to and fro and blown about by every wind of doctrine, by people's trickery, by their craftiness and deceitful scheming, but speaking the truth in love. We must grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, from whom the whole body, joined and knit together by every ligament with which it is equipped, as each part is working properly, promotes the body's growth in building itself up in love. As the body of Christ, we all have a role in the work of the church. The lay leaders recognized today are an example to all of us of a humble and faithful service. As we continue our journey together, I hope that we can work together to determine where your gifts, talents, and interests come together and can serve the church. I'm looking forward to our journey and to seeing what the Holy Spirit can do with us as we walk together with Christ. As one more point of order, it has been my pleasure for the last year to work with Katie. She has exemplified a servant of Christ. Her quiet leadership, her wisdom, her ability to keep us all in line has been expressed again and again. She's truly a great lay leader, and she's done that in the context of raising a child and working full-time. And that is not an easy role. But she's fulfilled her role with grace and with kindness and with love. And I would like to say thank you to her. Now, unfortunately, I apparently wore her out. So she has resigned as senior warden, but it is my joy to announce that Sandy Jacka will be our new senior warden. Please stand, Sandy. I'm looking forward to the coming year, and I'm hoping the work of the vestry doesn't cut into our chit-chat time at the office. All right, let us pray. God of our coming and going, God of our past, our present, and our future, we have met, we have celebrated, we have remembered, we have visioned, shared hopes, and dreamed dreams, and now we go out into the world in which we do most of our living and our ministering. As we go out, remind us that we do not go alone. As we go out, remind us that we go with a mission. As we go out, fill us with love, hope, and peace to share with the world. May our lives and our ministry be signs of your love and promises and possibility for the world. Amen. The annual meeting is now officially closed. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Alleluia, alleluia. Vestry members, please stand on the children's carpet.